What's up, everybody? The first season of Creature Commandos wrapped up last night, and before we get into my breakdown, make sure you subscribe so you're not missing out on any content here in the new year, like the big old Lex Luthor video I'm working on for this weekend. With that being said, let's get into the finale. We got into Nina Mazursky's backstory this week, and I was shifting my focus to one thing for the end of this episode. Because of that, while watching, then Gunn drops a hammer towards the end. But Nina was born with her lungs on the outside of her body, and so her father, a renowned scientist, eventually makes her into what she is today while trying to cure her. Then in the present, Frankenstein's making his way to the castle, ranting about his bride to the petrified taxi driver, and the Commandos are launching their plan at the same time. I gotta be honest, this was the one big thing I'd say I was disappointed about with the show. It felt like we just spent all that time with Frankenstein for kind of nothing, and the bride just shoots him even though he's finally there for a good reason. But, I do get why she did it. He's the eternal perv. Back in Nina's childhood, we learn about her mom and how she's part of the problem, well, the current problem in the world that James Gunn is building inside the DCU is she couldn't accept what she brought into the world. There's a nasty phosphorus kill mixed in with these flashbacks, and I'm itching to get him in live action. I really, really hope that's Alan Tudyk's live action role in Superman because I need to see those powers on display, but the flashback is the focus. Basically, her father transformed her DNA to try and cure her because the machines that he was building to help her breathe had become impractical, and well, it didn't go as planned. Just like the Commandos' mission, as they're now targeting the princess during her morning swim. Weasel, once again, sees the little girl he lost in the fire and wants to go save her, but he's held back by the team. Phosphorus also drops the crazy question, asking if they should put him down, as Nina spaces off into another flashback that might have actually featured Lex Luthor, but I don't think it was him. That's all. It's crazy, it's just a bald dude, but I do actually think it might be the scene that some scoopers saw where the young Lex appearance in the show came from, but I'm blanking on which scooper broke that news. Anyway, and just to be clear, I do not think that was Lex, but back in the States, Flag briefly wakes up and gets enough of a mutter out for Waller to get pointed in Dr. McPherson's direction while her team works across the globe, which the ball has now fallen into Nina's court with the team for obvious reasons now since they're getting the princess in the water. That's mirrored with another flashback, Nina running away from home, and it's a pretty powerful scene. She'd gotten her pep talk from the team, if you want to call her that, because the bride's just calling her a monster, and is moving in with her monster flashback going on as she was captured by animal control after running away from home, and then the cops shoot her dad as they're reunited and she's taken away. It doesn't matter if you're human, rodent, fish, James Gunn, he's got a hell of an origin story to tell for you. Just like he's always cooking up badass scenes for Viola Davis's Amanda Waller as she's getting fed up with being out of the loop on this mission. She kicks McPherson's door in, only to find clay remains and the doctor's corpse. At this point, and we didn't see anything else that teased this, but I'm starting to think, and it's just kind of a gut feeling, that the element of Lex, the new one, Nicholas Holtz, that's new to live action for James Gunn, which he's talked about, is he's already got a group of supervillains, whether they call themselves, the Legion of Doom, the Injustice League, maybe it's the Secret Six, which is a rumored project, but this idea, it's stuck in my head now. Regardless, Weasel gets through the Commandos just in time and saves the princess, but ends up costing Nina her life as it gives the princess a fighting chance. I honestly did not see this coming. I thought it was going to be all about Nina becoming a true monster, but this was a good move. Weasel also burned his mouth on phosphorus, which was hilarious, and also my jaw was kind of hanging the same way since I was preparing for an entirely different outcome. The bride took Nina's death real hard, especially after getting the call from Waller that they were wrong about the mission, but it just puts things in perspective because they already saw Clayface at the castle. That was a true twist, and the bride rules for putting a bullet through her clay-mingling head as the Commandos rush back to Belle Reve. Economos welcomes them back as they've got a new base of operations inside Belle Reve because Amanda Waller, she's just such a sweet gal, and a new team that features the Bride, Phosphorus, Nosferatu, a newcomer, Aden, another newcomer, Weasel, G.I. Robot, the new and improved version, and also another one making his return, King Shark, hopefully Sylvester's King Shark. But we gotta talk about and focus on these two newcomers because Nosferatu comes with a cool history and Adin is just a super dope character. So, as I talked about when she first appeared, Nosferatu is from the Wildlands, which that's a part of the predecessor project to Project Cadmus. I've talked about how big of a role I think that's going to have in the DCU throughout this show in my breakdowns, and I'm going to dive even deeper on it in this weekend's video about Lex Luthor. Then Adin, the one you saw sitting in the back, and it took me a second to recognize him actually, is based on the pharaoh Akhenaten. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm not a big Egyptian guy outside of thinking they were aliens, not the Egyptian god of the same name, Adin. He's a mummy and his bandages heal anybody they touch, and that's kind of the extent of my knowledge on this character. If I'm being honest here, he was only in one of the runs that I read preparing for this show, but he's super powerful. Finally, we did get a credit scene, but it was just a fun one, although a bit confusing as Frankenstein is all patched up and back with the gypsy. But again, we've seen this gypsy 3 times now, and I'm still not sure if it's been the same old lady or in some psycho world it's been 3 different ones. Frankenstein, he had such a strong start in this story, and unfortunately, he kind of became the thing I was most disappointed about in the end. But overall, it was a solid finale, and I wouldn't say, it's one of my favorite James Gunn projects ever, but it did have quite a few moments that I think rank amongst the best of his moments from his projects. I just have a few too many questions left over, like, where's Clayface? How bad did the Commandos screw global relations? And did Adin come in for season 2 because Nina died? Like, is he going to bring her back? To be fair, those are kind of questions to be answered in season 2, but what can I say? I'm impatient. And so that'll do it for my breakdown of the Creature Commandos season 1 finale. Like I said, good not great, but this cast was an absolute blast, and I'm hoping it's Sylvester Stallone coming back to voice King Shark. That'd be a great addition to the team. Let me know what you thought of the finale and the show as a whole, though, down in the comments below, and make sure you have a great day.